Ralph Cabbage, Aquaman Knox. Today we look at the Sicce Ultra 9000. We'll dive into it and show you everything you need to know about this new pump. Today we're looking at the Ultra 9000. For a long time, full disclaimer, I was partners with Sicce as a shareholder and partners in the company, and helped develop a lot of the pumps along with a great team there. I'm no longer with that, so this pump is all mine. And the longest time I was there, I always asked for the Ultra Zero, which I thought was a great idea, but just not a beefy enough pump to do a whole lot for the price point. So I asked, let's make a beefier Ultra Zero. The question is, did Sicce hit the mark with this new 9000? Okay, first look, let's go over some of the features and highlights. We're going to do testing. We'll have some B-roll footage to show you all the different parts and features as I break this bad boy down, and we'll go through everything you need to know about this. The pump is rated with 110 watts, 2,250 gallons per hour at 21.5 feet of head pressure. So it is a utility pump designed to drain water. It's got a float valve built into it. It's designed to drain water, then shut itself off, or it can be used in continuous duty in a pond type application. It does appear to be all saltwater safe, so you could use it in saltwater. I don't know if it's a quiet pump designed for that application. It's really designed to be an industrial utility pump. The pump comes with a couple of different things. Has a long grounded power cord that's heavy duty. Has a cute little handle here. Notice it looks like a whale. That's okay. I'm glad it has a handle. I'm glad it has a hole, which I guess is the eyeball of the whale, and you can hook it to some rope if you're going to drop it down into a well or a deep vat to drain something. That's nice. I find the tail of the little whale a little bit, cumbersome to hold, but doesn't really matter. That doesn't affect my rating of the pump. Comes with inch and a half GAS threads. Now, what does that mean? Inch and a half GA threads. What that means is doesn't really fit US threads. You can take a US thread fitting. You can sort of make it work, but it's straight thread instead of a tapered thread like NPT. So with Teflon tape, you can make it work, but it's not really designed for that. What it's designed for is to hook a straight fitting, almost like a tank adapter on here, and it comes with a staged outlet right here, which will let you hook 3 different sizes of tubing. Remember, this is metric, so you may have to heat up US tubing to get it to fit just right. The metric ratings they give on this are 25, 32, and 40 millimeters. So that is the 3 things that it fits perfectly, and then those should adapt to 3/4, 1 inch, and 1.25 inch tubing with clamps or by heating up the flexible tubing. That's inside dimension. Okay. This is part of the unit, and this is a 90-degree elbow. The 90-degree elbow lets you directional flow. You can put it in place, directional flow, lets you send the water. If you're putting in a situation like a real shallow amount of water and you're sending the hose that way, it'd keep it from kinking. I'm not sure that's going to be used as much as this if it's going down into tubs or vats, but it's a nice added feature. It's real easy to remove. You take this front closer off, which all that is, it's sort of like their some of their other pumps. It holds the O-ring on in place, and this whole assembly comes off, and you can put the directional outlet on. That easy, and you're back in business on the directional flow. I do like this little clip. It's easy. It's not doesn't hurt your thumbs. You're not going to get cut removing it. They did a good job on that. The housing, everything about the housing, it's reinforced plastic, so you're not going to get some cheap pump that you just break easily. You can tell the guys have done a great job reinforcing this, and the team at Sicce. Okay, let's dive into this pump a little closer, and we'll show you what it's made of. Side housing right here. This is where the float is. That float raises up and down to shut the unit off and on if it's in the auto mode. You've got a switch here to have it on all the time, or in auto mode, it'll shut off when it gets low. Also has thermal protection for overheating, so if it runs dry, it will turn itself off, or if it overheats, it turns itself off. It also has the ability to try to restart itself a few times in case it were clogged or overheating, or before it overheats, if you will. So it's got 3 different safety mechanisms built in. The instruction manual, it's a translation, so it's not going to, some of the wording and verbiage in here is not going to make a lot of sense to you unless you're really technical or an engineer. They use some terminology that didn't translate well over into English. But if you're in one of the other languages, because Sicce is all over the world, I mean, there's a language on here somewhere that'll help you. My opinion is my video may help you more than this instruction manual, but everybody's got to have one, and they've got an instruction manual in the box. Now, let's look at this. The bottom grate is adjustable. So you have 4 positions here. You can have it all the way down so that the holes are small, so you can prevent large debris in, or you can raise all 4 screws all the way up to get the maximum inlet. It won't pull as close to the water on the bottom that way, but it will let bigger debris get pumped and pumped through. Now we need to look at the heart of the pump. The pump is not designed to be gotten into very easily or very often, but we've got 2 screws on top, 4 screws on bottom. I've already removed some of these to speed up the process, and once you remove those, the bottom comes off and we can see the inner workings. This is an electronic board in this pump to make it more efficient, similar to the HF model of pumps that Sicce has made. Let's remove this last screw. I'll pull off the bottom. It's sealed with an O-ring. And that will allow the bottom to come off after you've removed all the screws that I mentioned. Once you get inside, you've got a curved volute on the impeller. Similar design, you'll recognize this. It's similar to the HF if you're familiar with that model. It is offset, and that's why that looks a little bit out of whack, but it's the same nice heavy-duty rotor that's in some of their bigger pumps. It's got the bypass to keep it running cool. It's got the holes for the sieve so you get water. I don't know if you can see that, but so you can get water. These small holes let water into to lubricate the magnet. Got a bearing, a rear bearing that can be removed with a pulling tool, and that is again similar to the HF design. Locks into place. Shouldn't have to worry about anything there. And this being an industrial pump, I will say that Sicce has done something. For a long time I asked them to key the front end of the rotors, and let me get that in place. Hold on one second. Yep. So this is keyed, and all that means is there's a flat surface here before this is put on, and then the plastic piece, if you were to remove it, has a flat place. So it's not going to wear out easily, and it's not going to come off easily. It's going to stay in place for your more industrial applications. Again, this whole part, every part that you feel on this is heavy duty. You put the screws back in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 on the top. Again, cord length is strong. Never pull the unit up by the cord. This is a no-no. You don't want to do this. That's what the hole's for. If you need to do that, you put a rope or something on there to raise it up. Pulling on the cord, you can cause damage to the cord and void the warranty on your pump. Speaking of warranty, we've got ETL, C and US listing. That's equivalent to UL listing on the pump, and 5-year warranty. So they're sticking with the 3+2. So this pump is a little bit more expensive. So when you get into this pump, this is a $300 plus pump. It's not going to be comparable to pumps that are in the $100 range in price, but also not in quality. The 2,250 gallons per hour is a lot of flow. You're not going to be able to pump a 1-inch hose of this into a small aquarium from a bucket without stirring up a lot of water. So you're going to want to put a valve on there to reduce the pump and not use that whole amount of water. But in a lot of applications, what we want in a pond, what we want in a big vat is to get that sucker empty as fast as you can. This pump should do it. We're going to do some testing on that to show you exactly how it works, and we'll get into that in a moment. Be very careful not to strip it out. I would not recommend just anyone using a tool. I'm sure they use an electric tool to do this in production to speed it up. But to make sure you don't over tighten it, definitely don't get a impact driver on this thing. You want to have something that has a clutch so you don't strip out these screws, which are stainless steel, but they're going into plastic. So you know, it's not something you're driving down. You're just snugging it up, hand tight, and be done with it. For our application, we're going to use the straight up. There's a little groove on here. Make sure you get that in place. I just missed that, but then I got it. We're going to use it straight up, and we're going to show its use coming out of a bucket. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. If you pull this off, you can see the little magnet in here. This is a float. At the bottom of it, there is magnets in there and metal, and I'm sure that that's hitting a switch inside there as it floats up and down. There's most likely a sensor of some sort in there that lets it know where the water level is in the unit. Just put it back into place. Remember, this side down, this side down. And that's it. That's all you've got. The audio in my utility room is not going to be great, and I apologize for that, but here we go. We've got the standard brute 32-gallon Rubbermaid container. We all fill it to the line, mix our salt water, use our RO water, fill tanks. This is used by everybody in the industry. Here's one of the first things I was going to show you. See, this is 1-inch tubing, and even 1-inch tubing right here, you would have to heat this up or go over this. I'm actually going to use a wire tie on this, so we may make a huge mess. This is not what you should do. You should use a plastic clamp, but that's all I have here at night, and I want to get this review out the door for everybody since this is a new pump. But it doesn't fit these metric fittings, and that's one of the reasons that you just can't give this a perfect review, because you're not going to be able to use these hose barbs with US stuff unless you make a little bit of modifications. So I'm going to do a temporary fix, if you will. This is not, when I use this pump, which I plan on doing, I will modify this more and do it. I'll either heat the tubing up, but regardless of what I do, I'll end up with a clamp on this thing. It's such a beast that this may not work. Again, I would not do this way. You want to use a proper hose clamp, or heat that tubing up and get over that next barb fitting, which is more likely, and then use a hose clamp in addition to that, because this is a lot of pump. I'm going to put this on the auto setting, so we'll see if it kicks off like I'm anticipating. It is on the auto setting, and we'll just see how long. We may speed this up, but we'll put the timer up here to show you how long it takes to fill. I'm glad this cord's long, because my plug is a long ways away. You're either going to see a huge mess when I plug this in, or it's going to be beautiful. And there it goes. There's a slight delay in starting, but look at the flow on this bad boy. This is going to fill about, or empty, about 3 times faster than my city water pressure. So it's a ton of flow right here. I'm going to have to hold it at so much flow. Watch this thing pump. You would never be able to pump this into your aquarium, but if you're trying to drain a basement, drain a pond, fill up a big vat in a store application, or do anything like that, you definitely got a pump here. I mean, it is actually pumping faster than this utility sink can drain. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but the utility sink is filling up. We're about to the point where this should stop. And boom, now it stopped, leaving 4 inches of water in the thing, so it doesn't go all the way down. I'm going to turn it to manual now and see what it does. Comes back on manual. The Switch mechanism works great. Kudos to the guys at Sicce or gals, whoever was in charge of this. And now it's going to run dry. Now you would not want to let it do that too long. It has kicked itself off though with that safety protection. I did that on purpose. And now see, it's trying to restart again as though it's plugged. So it gives you a little bit of play there. I'm going to switch it back to auto because I don't want to run over to the cord, and that's going to turn it off. So that is a beast. You want to pump some water? This bad boy will pump some water. The sink is still draining. The sink does not drain as fast as this pumps. Keep that in mind when you're using it. You could flood your house, so make sure you're pumping outside or to a huge utility sink, but it pumps faster than a standard sink can drain. Might be nice to adapt this down to a hose bar, but it takes some fittings to do it. Okay, you saw from the bucket in our Rubbermaid container, this baby can really pump some water. Make sure that you get proper clamps and things on this. I didn't have that for my test. I'm going to modify this and make it work for my application. I'm going to give this pump a 4.2 stars. I don't give 5 stars out easily. If this had a lower price point and some fittings that were more US friendly, it would have a higher rating. That being said, I'm going to modify this pump. I'm going to make it work because it's a beast, and I'm going to use it every single day. The float, remember, put it on auto, get you down to about 3 or 4 inches, then take it to manual. Don't walk off from it. Drain it down the rest of the way. I was not able to get it to the 5 millimeter mark, but I was able to get it down low enough that you could empty a bucket out easily after that. That could be because the bucket's not completely flat in those Rubbermaid containers. That being said, that's the kind of application this is going to be used in most often. I'm happy for the team at Sicce. You've done a good job on this pump, and I'm happy for anyone that gets their hands on one of these and can spend the money to buy one. I think you'll be happy with it. I'm sure it's going to last a lot more than the 5 years they warranty it for. I'm Ralph Cabbage, Aquaman Knox. Have a great day.